Hello and welcome to another edition of Workforce Watercooler. My name is Leslie. Joining me is Jon and Brian. We all work for the South Central Workforce Development Board. Brian was out last week and we are so happy to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Well, let me just start by saying thank you to Jon for allowing me to go to a conference last week. I know it's always great in our professional jobs that we can go and find out more about what other people are doing and add to our arsenal and make connections so that we can find out exactly how they got things done, because sometimes those conferences are pretty short formats to do that. But I had an opportunity to go to a sort of one of a kind conference called the National Immigrant Integration Conference. So immigrants, refugees, what we've typically called new Americans, are one of this board's focus populations. So this is a convening that happens every year, usually when COVID's not going on, and they were able to pull it off in person this year and have a virtual option. But I was able to go in person and meet with other workforce board professionals. Actually met some counterparts from Louisville that work for Metro Louisville and hear what they are doing and hear about what big cities, small cities are up to with workforce development and just other things that serve immigrants and refugees. So it's always a great conference. I do get a chance to go with my wife, who is also in this kind of sphere of work with her job. So we kind of tag team the expenses and the professional development opportunities and try to glean as much of it that we can.
And Brian, it was the conference was in Nevada. That's how, in a past professional experience, we always refer to conferences in Nevada.
Yes.
You say where in Nevada?
It was actually in Las Vegas, but I don't intend for what happened at the conference to stay in Nevada.
Yeah.
So
conference in Las Vegas is kind of an oxymoron, right? I mean, how can this be? How can this be?
You know, it's funny because we got in like Lyft rides, or had to take some rides to different places, and people are like, "You're here for work?" Like, "Oh no," we're like, "Yeah, we're we're attending everything that this conference has to offer, of course."
Serious business.
Yeah.
In Las Vegas.
Right.
So if you had, if and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but if you had to pick one thing, like the big takeaway or something that really resonated with you, what would that be from the conference?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, it was something I was sort of already aware of. Two things. So I can't give that a one item answer, but there are funds that have been available to some states and city governments called the American Rescue Package funds. And there was a lot of buzz and ideas floating around about how to maybe make requests and speak up about some of the issues that affect immigrants and refugees, that those funds could go towards to help, rebuild the economies at the local level. So I got ideas on that, and it solidified a lot of ideas that had already kind of been cooking, that I think this board has wanted to see happen, and maybe these funds with local support, we can see those off the ground. The second thing was there was a Philadelphia representative from a workforce board that spoke about a toolkit for employers about working with immigrants and refugees, everything from hiring to retention practices. And I think that toolkit's going to be something I'm going to be proud to kind of prop up and share. So I've got that downloaded on my computer, but we want to add that to the arsenal of things that we can offer to employers.
So Brian, yesterday, I mean, we hadn't really talked about your conference, but we spoke yesterday. We caught up on a lot of things other than the conference. But you, in passing, you said something about you felt like we were really innovative compared to maybe. Can you elaborate on what you meant by that comment?
Yeah, I think the struggle is with the focus populations that this board reaches out to, and new Americans included, is how do you let them know that these services are available? Just like we're always trying to make employers informed of what we can do to support their efforts. Some of these things have money attached to them. Some of them are just professional services that advice and ideas that we can pass along, connections to another entity in their realm. But I really had my ear to the ground to try to hear what is happening to increase exposure to employment services that are going on. And funny enough, there's something that we just launched here a couple of weeks ago that I had not heard anybody else was really doing, which is a targeted campaign to attract new Americans to employment services. So, I feel like we'll have something to present for next year's conference probably. But we do have a campaign that's been in the works for a few months that did launch called the Work in BG, so specifically Work in Bowling Green campaign that is designed to attract new Americans that live in Bowling Green away from jobs that they may be having out of state or out of region, and let them know about local opportunities. And instead of just saying there's jobs, go find one, it's saying connect with a professional that can help identify the right job and right career for you, taking advantage of whatever level of English skill and proficiency you have or don't have, taking advantage of whatever job experience you have or don't have. And so and obviously helping with the application process, because a lot of mistakes are made at the application process that employers tell us about, that people of all backgrounds and nationalities and origins are not completely filling out applications. So much of it is online now, and if people kind of rush through that, it really shoots their chances to move further in the process. So anyway, I think hearing that there really wasn't anything like that was floating around at this conference was exciting to hear how innovative we truly are being here in South Central.
And the Work in BG campaign, that is being run by the city of Bowling Green, but we're supporting them by sharing the information on social media, the platform where people make appointments, we're providing that. One of the things that really struck me when it comes to new Americans in Bowling Green is, it makes me sad that so many of them are traveling to these jobs. And, when you factor in commuter time, it may be 1 or 2 hours total, to and from where they're going, and they're losing so much quality time
right
with their family. And and I know you're much more well versed with this, but why are so many new Americans in Bowling Green going elsewhere to work? That's a great
question. There's 3 main factors I think that are going on, and just in my experience and talking to folks. Number one is when a lot of times people move into our area, their options seem to be very limited, and especially when they come through the refugee resettlement process, if that was the way that they entered the U.S. and entered, the South Central Kentucky region, depending on their English skill at the time, there's a lot of times very limited options. And there's been several employers, and the list has grown in the last half dozen years, that are Tennessee-based businesses that are willing to work with low-level English skills. Number 2, people that move into the area through the refugee resettlement process are not hear about those jobs because friends and family and contacts and people that they're meeting are working there, and they just sort of bypass using any type of employment services and go straight to the source and get welcomed in with open arms. And then number 3, the pay that these places have been able to offer has sometimes been more attractive than what local jobs have been. So those 3 things have changed to the benefit of South Central Kentucky. And that's another reason we're having this initiative, is to let them know there's a lot more openness to working at different skill levels of English that folks have. And there are employment services, so you don't have to go find it on your own through word of mouth. And then number 3, some of the pay increases that have happened here in Bowling Green are making it a whole lot more competitive, if not equal, then maybe even better than what are available outside of the region.
Yeah, I'd say there's a 4th one, and that's transportation. Because some of these companies outside of the region, they're actually running vans and buses multiple times a day to pick people up and take them for an hour bus ride down to Portland, Tennessee, or up north of us in a different part of Kentucky. And so, if you're newly arrived and transportation's an issue, but you want employment, that these employers have kind of bundled all that together.
You're right. That makes me think of a 5th reason, which is that they've been very aggressive in recruiting from this area, and some of that, like shuttle service, transportation, has been what's made them sort of favorable. And so this is sort of a counteract measure to say, wait a minute, hey, there's good stuff here too, and not be ashamed to talk about how good it is, and of course the quality of life, Leslie, as you mentioned. I mean, that's something that, when you're just kind of in a survival job, or you're just trying to kind of get acquainted in the community, you might just take what you can have and what is easy to go after. But if you really look into it, there's a lot of great opportunities in South Central Kentucky.
And if a job elsewhere outside of the region, if they are paying more, you also have to figure in the transportation cost. How much are you spending going to and from? And even if you're riding in a van or a shuttle or whatever that this employer has provided, it's the time that it is taking away,
right.
that you could have with your family. You could, have more time, have a better quality of life overall, and you're living in Bowling Green. It would make sense to work in Bowling Green. So right. I think you going to the conference, I think our support of the Work in BG campaign, I'm really hoping that we make some headway, and new Americans see that there are so many more options than maybe they once believed.
Can I just say something? I mean, something else Brian's done. He's done some good analysis on where do these communities reside inside of Bowling Green, and then what employment opportunities are within walking distance or in a very short commute, and then reaching out. This is ongoing, but reaching out and trying to parlay those, get those employers on board and parlay those into employment opportunities, and take transportation off the table as a barrier.
Yeah, so there'll be something to speak to exactly up that alley here pretty soon. That's in the works too. I'm glad you said that. But yeah, so it's refreshing to hear how innovative we have been. And I want to be clear. Yes, as you said, Leslie, this is a City of Bowling Green initiative that our board is sort of promoting and sort of working behind the scenes to support. But if there's anybody who's not a new American, who was born in the U.S., whether in Kentucky or not, who is finding themselves in a situation, or anybody watching this video that knows of friends or family that have to commute, and it's not necessarily a pleasurable experience, let's say it's not necessarily their preference, it's just something they've had to kind of do, or they're thinking, well, this is kind of wearing me out, having to commute or having to figure out how to get a ride back and forth. Same thing. I mean, there's employment services that are free and professional and available. And as good as it is to go and hear, it's always great to hear professional development opportunities. Leslie, I think we're trying to cook up our own, Leslie and John, for employers, aren't we?
That's
right. Absolutely. Yes, we have our town hall summits coming up. The first is October 25th, and we'll have one the 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th. And the format's different than what we've done in the past, just because we are concerned about COVID, and we wanted to keep crowd size small, but that got us to thinking, how can we really make this a good thing? And that's why we're going to different counties and presenting there. And it goes back to what you were saying. We don't want people who live 45 minutes away to have to drive to Bowling Green to attend this summit. We're providing options where it's very close to home. And I think this will be a much more concentrated personal experience, because we're dealing with those counties specifically. And I'm excited. I mean, we all have been pouring a lot of work into this for months and months with the prep. And I hope that the event reflects that it's something that employers can walk away from and say, okay, now I have this, and this to help me get employees who will, who will stay with my business, good quality employees. So I'm excited. I think I've probably said that 15 times, but it's the truth.
I am too. I've seen all the hard work you guys have put into it. It's been very thoughtful process. So I think we have a good product to deliver here in about 10 days.
So if you haven't reserved a ticket, you need to do so now, because these events will sell out, and I say sell out, but the tickets are free. But you have to register for a ticket in order to get in. So, and again, that's us following crowd size and social distancing and all that good stuff. So get a ticket, it's free, but that way you have a seat at the table.
Are we going to have a bouncer at the door? I mean, who have we identified somebody?
I think Aaron would be a good one.
Yeah,
Aaron and Matt.
That's what I was going to say. For you folks that don't know Aaron Pointer, he's a big guy.
Yeah, he's built like an NFL linebacker. He's a big dude.
He may be at the door. We need to get him a shirt that says security on the back.
He'll be there with a smile and shaking your hand.
And giving you his business card.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aaron has made the Workforce Watercooler.
Yes, we will have to tell him. We will have to. Maybe I can. I don't know. Maybe I can sneak a picture in when I edit this. We'll see. But any parting words? Any last thoughts?
Look forward to seeing people at the summit. Be in touch with us. Drop a comment if you have any questions. You know what to do if you've watched these before.
That's right.
No, I'm thankful that Brian got to go to the conference and pick up some really good ideas, and we'll get some of that stuff kind of incorporated into what we do going forward with our new American community. We're excited about that.
And I am going to be looking for conferences in Hawaii, John, and see if we see if any of those can be in the future.
In December, right?
Yeah. So
I think I heard the annual nose flute conference is happening somewhere out west this year.
Yes, absolutely.
I think the Nose Flute Digest was promoting that.
Yeah,
subscribe to that.
I think that's in Bismarck, not Hawaii.
All right. Well, thank you both for the information and dialogue, and I think that everything Brian received at the conference is going to be put to good use, and it's exciting to me that we're doing things that other people all across the United States are not. So, that's pretty cool.
It's cool, and it's par for the course, because that's who we are and that's what we do.
All right. I think that's a good statement to end on. I think you nailed it, John.
There we go. Drop the mic. We're out.
All right. Be sure to catch us next time on Workforce Watercooler.
All right. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.